of course, Leif Davis. Another player that's come from Fulham to Ipswich. Joining Issa Diop is Sasa Lukic in midfield with Marcelino Nunez. And then 4 new signings starting in the attacking positions. On the right from Leicester is Issa Fatau. On the left from Celtic is Dyson Maeda. In the middle is Julio Enciso, and leading the line, £24 million reported from Toulouse, is the Brazilian Emerson. As for Sunderland, they haven't had the busiest of transfer windows compared to their opponents today, albeit keeping Granit Xhaka probably felt like a new signing anyway to steer him away from going to Chelsea. Robin Roof's in goal. The new signing, Thomas Meunier, is on the right-hand side with Dan Ballard, Luke O'Nien as centre-halves and Ronildo Mandava as the left-back. 2 midfielders in the captain, Granit Xhaka and Noah Siddiqui, with Trey Hume on the right, Angulo on the left, Enzo Lefebvre down the middle, and last season's top goal scorer, Brian Brobby, leading the line. So a big atmosphere here in the Ipswich Stadium as the camera's now panning on to the Ipswich players giving each other high fives and hugs as they get ready for their first game in the top flight for 2 years. Of course, the last time Ipswich were in this position, they were playing at 12:30 and they ended up losing to Liverpool 2-0 that afternoon. And what a season Liverpool went on to have. It was the opposite for Ipswich, though, as they come into this game having lost their opening game in each of their last 4 English top-flight campaigns. Of course, the first of that record was back in 1994-95, and as I just mentioned, the last was in 2024-25. So they'll be looking to end that statistic and put it to bed in their way. They were a side who are back in European competition, the second tier of European competition, which is why they brought in someone like Thomas Meunier. He, in fact, played in this same competition that Sunderland are in this season, last season, for Lille, which is where he actually signed from, albeit on a free. Thomas Meunier actually was in the squad that ended up losing to Aston Villa in the quarter-finals. So we're looking forward to this. Thank you for joining me, everyone, here at the Ipswich Stadium. It's Sunderland who are going to be kicking us off. It's Brian Brobby in the centre circle. You can see Julio Enciso with his hands on his knees just on the halfway line as he's intensely looking at that white ball in the middle of the pitch, which is played back to the goalkeeper. And Ipswich and Sunderland's top-flight campaign is underway. And Ipswich, of course, the home side, are playing from left to right. So shooting to my right-hand side as they look to try and make something happen down the left. Dyson Maeda having his first touch in blue and white colours since signing from Celtic. Of course, looking at the new signings, there are a fair few signings signed for a similar reported amount, around £8 to £9 million. So they've been quite astute in the transfer market. Of course, they've spent big on some players, few of which are starting today, and Enciso, Fatau and Emerson, all of which signed for over £70 million combined. Sunderland back on the ball as they look to play down this left-hand side over towards the number 10 in Angelo, who tries to play it back to his left-back in Ronildo, but it comes off an Ipswich player, so it's intercepted, goes out of the pitch and out for a throw. Midway into the defensive half on this near side, Ronildo weighing up his options. The ball's still in both of his hands as he throws it first time to Granit Xhaka. It's another interception from Fatau for Ipswich, and it's another throw for Sunderland, which they take quicker this time, albeit they can't keep the ball forever. And it's Issa Diop with his first pass in Ipswich colours back to Kjell Scherpen. So a lot of changes for Ipswich. Of course, they really had to bolster the side coming into this campaign. Knowing how their last one went, they want to steer away from having another relegation. First time of asking. And that's perhaps why, of course, they've had to make a lot of new signings. The last time they were in this position where they got promoted, they signed a lot of English and Irish players. That was part of their transfer philosophy. Well, it's fair to say that philosophy has been left to one side. Only one of their 12 new signings is English. And, of course, they're looking to bring in other players from overseas nations to provide some support. And the ball's just left by Diop for Scherpen to come out of his 6-yard box and collect the ball as he's met with an applause round the 4 stands here at the Ipswich Stadium. A throw up in the air, taken down from O'Shea, up towards Julio Enciso. Now Fatau will take on Ronaldo for the first time this game, and he wins the foul from the left back, so it will be a free kick just in their own half for Ipswich. 2.5 minutes gone, still goalless. The ball just staying in the middle of the pitch for now, but of course it's so early on in the game, and Ipswich looking to try and make something count. Gary O'Neill animated on the touchline in all black as he just holds up his right hand, shouting towards Enciso, giving him instructions, and it's passed all the way back to Kjell Sherpen, who's just outside of his D area. Doesn't have much pressure, but Broby's the closest player in Sunderland colours to him. It's a long ball up in the air. 09 in centre half heads it away. Fatau keeps it for Ipswich, but not for long as Sunderland win it back in their own half, and it's a lovely threaded ball through to Enzo Lefebvre. Broby's through, he's in the box, he fires it at goal, but it's a brilliant block from Leif Davis, and Sunderland will have to make do with a corner kick. But what a chance that was. Opened up from Enzo Lefebvre down the middle of the park, threading through the Dutch striker, who was in between both centre halves, but as the replay shows, he probably would have had that goal ruled out for offside. It was by a thumbnail, but he managed to just shoulder off the pressure from Leif Davis, and then he fired it low, unable to find the back of the net on that occasion. So a chance now. It's an in-swinger, but Sunderland can't get ahead on it. It will bounce to Xhaka outside the area, who fires it on the volley towards goal, but it's out for a goal kick. Wow. Sunderland already showing how quick it can take for an opportunity to be opened up. Just that threaded ball. It was the Northern Irishman and Try Hume who managed to find Broby with that line-splitting pass. And you felt like Ipswich, after having a promising starting few minutes, could have then been pegged back. Sherpen, though, getting the ball fed to him from Diop, and then he looks to do the fake pass and almost tripped over the ball. He had a Sunderland player about a yard away from him, and that would have been an embarrassing start to his Ipswich career. But he's on the ball now. He's very good with his feet. Of course, used to play for Brighton, never actually made a senior appearance for the side on the south coast. However, he did play in their academy for a season, and then started to ply his trade in Belgium. A big, tall figure, 6'6", and a muscular one too. So not someone who will shy away from getting involved with the corner kicks and all of the pushing and shoving that comes with it. 5 minutes on the clock, and Sunderland's first chance was denied, which keeps the scoreline at 0-0 early on here at the Ipswich Stadium. Leif Davis on the ball, just using his hand to waggle his players forward as he gives them an instruction. He's over on that far side, deep into his own half. It's flicked over towards Maeda from the number 19 in Emerson, who's coming very deep, the striker, playing like a central midfielder when Leif Davis is looking to take a throw. Davis will have another chance to throw over on that far side. He plays it down the line. It's intercepted by O'Shea, but the ball goes out of play again. And I feel like that's been the majority of the game so far. Most of the time the ball's been out of play, waiting for a throw to be taken. Neither side unable to really get a hold of this game. Sunderland now over on that right-back position, looking to just try and take it into their attacking half. But the referee, Farai Halam, will signal for a foul on the Sunderland player, and they take the free kick in their own half quickly. And here is 09. Over towards Ronaldo on this near side, midway into his own half, looking to play it forward. It's a sloppy pass, and it's intercepted by O'Shea. Here they are now as the Nunez looks to play a progressive pass forward. Emerson, lovely turn from Enciso, looks to open up his body, but fires it straight into a Sunderland player just outside of the penalty area. O'Shea will whip in a ball from this near angle, and Emerson gets his head onto it, forcing the save from Robin Roofs, who just had to come down low to his left-hand side to deny Emerson of a first goal in Ipswich colours. But it was a brilliant ball whipped in from Dar O'Shea. Down on this near right-hand side, Emerson in the box, heading it low, but unable to beat the 23-year-old shot-stopper in Robin Roofs. So a fairly frantic start, an opportunity for both strikers, 7 minutes gone, and it's goalless still. But if the chances keep flowing like they have done in this opening part of the game, you'd imagine it not to be the same scoreline at some point this first half. Throwing over on that far side once again. Davies looping it up towards Emerson. It goes beyond him, and Ciso scurries to the ball, but it's Xhaka who gets there first. Back to 09. Here with Roofs once again, just in his penalty area. Sends it forward with his left boot. Up towards this left-hand side with Angelo, sticking up his arms as both players, it was him and O'Shea, that got caught tangled with one another. But here comes a chance for Siddiqui, taking it to the byline and firing it straight into the gloves of Sherpen. A nice move from Sunderland, but Siddiqui unable to find Broby in the penalty area, as he had an angle to work with, but he couldn't bring it back further enough for Broby, which is why it ended straight up with the goalkeeper. His long ball forward can't find Emerson, who finds himself on the ground, and Sunderland back in the ball in their own half. Here's 09, of course, a few players out of position usually for both sides. Luke 09, typically a central midfielder, can play full-back, but he's having to slot into the centre-half position today. Of course, Omar Alderete would usually be in that centre-half position alongside someone like Nordi Mukiel or Dan Ballard, but of course Alderete missed the whole of pre-season. Here comes Sunderland down this left-hand side. Angelo putting in a good ball, but the outstretched leg of Davis sends it back towards one of the other defenders for Ipswich. He can't quite clear it away. I don't think that's what he was intending. He was simply just trying to block the cross. Ipswich managed to get the ball further up the pitch, albeit they can't actually get it into their attacking half. So Sunderland have a throw as it comes off one of the home players just in front of Reggie Lebray. Here is Noah Siddiqui looking to get some support, just playing it around with Ronaldo in their own defensive half now. Lefay just dropping deeper alongside Xhaka to play it over towards Ballard, who's midway into his own half. He's chased down by Emerson, who continues his chase towards Roofs, who's in the D area. Now 09 again, looking to send a ball up with his left boot up towards Broby. The pace of Broby just unable to get there, as the ball just loomed over him and then bounced into the gloves of Sherpen, who throws it straight out to Nunez. Now Jacob Greaves, the centre-half for Ipswich, just playing it towards Sasa Lukic, who is a really underrated signing, coming into that defensive midfield position, who's just dropping deep between both centre-halves, one of which is a player who he knows well in Diop from their time at Fulham. Here is Diop, who, of course, switched his allegiances to Morocco, found himself in the Moroccan team, even scored a goal at the World Cup in the summer just gone. How's Maeda? Has a go up against Mounier, but it comes off Maeda, and that's good defensive work from the new boy, Thomas Mounier. 10 minutes gone. Ipswich 0, Sunderland 0. It will be a goal kick for the Black Cats. Of course, after winning their final 2 top-flight games of last season, Sunderland are looking to win 3 in a row in this competition for the first time since May 2014, which was under Gus Poyet when he managed to steer them away from relegation. Here come Ipswich once again through the Japanese international in Maeda, looking to pick up the ball once more. Over towards Emerson, the striker over on that left-hand side. He's got Leif Davis on the overlap, but Emerson just keeps up the ball. The tall frame being pressed down by Trey Hume. Here's Nunez. Now Sasa Lukic. Back towards Nunez again. Davis providing the width on that left-hand side as Ipswich look to try and keep the ball firmly in their attacking half. Lukic now having to just slow down play, waiting for an option, still with the ball as he's turning around 360 degrees. Feeds a nice pass in towards Enciso, flicks it back towards Emerson, but he can't find the Paraguayan once again with the return pass. Davies now out on that left-hand side, looking to whip in a ball with his left, but instead he just holds it up and plays it to Nunez with his right. Here's Greaves again. Every outfield player in the defensive half of Sunderland right now. Ipswich just having to be patient to wait for an opening. Maeda on that left-hand side, just clipping it back towards Davies, who's got some room to whip in a ball, which is what he does. And Ballard meets it, and he ends up heading it towards Angelo, who's being pressed down by Enciso, winning it back, the number 10 for Ipswich. Good work there. That'll certainly get the Ipswich fans liking him as he shows his commitment to win the ball, as he presses in on Ronaldo, and joining him is Fatau, and it comes off the new Ipswich number 7 and goes behind for a goal kick for the Black Cats. A positive start from Enciso, showing his energy as he comes in from Strasbourg. Of course, coached under Gary O'Neill last year after Liam Rosinia's departure. Robin Roofs with the short goal kick. Here's 09 down this left-hand side, still in his own half, looking to switch another ball with his left boot, but it's not successful. It can't find Broby, and instead Lukic will actually end up winning the foul off Brian Broby. Issa Diop just being told to be the player to take this free kick. Gary O'Neill down on the touchline, sitting in his chair, looking at the iPad, assessing his side's performance so far and how they can try and break down this Sunderland side. Of course, one of the other signings for Sunderland who's not in today's team sheet is Diane Matali, who of course they signed from Toulouse. So the player who used to play with Emerson at Toulouse last season, 20 years old, signed yesterday, making him their second signing of the summer. Jacob Greaves just going over to Robin Roofs as Kiel Sherpen took that free kick, and it went straight towards Roofs, who picked the ball up, and Greaves just sort of bounced into Roofs, and I think he must have clipped him with his studs. Well, the way Roofs fell on his right ankle did not look good. Of course, they've got Melchior Elborg on the bench, the Swedish goalkeeper, but he won't be required as Roofs is going to vacate this free kick to Luke O'Nien, or it looked like he was going to do that for a bit, but instead he then signals to O'Nien to go further up the pitch so he can take the free kick himself. Sends it over towards that right-hand side for Ballard, clipping a ball down the right wing. Coming off an Ipswich player, goes behind or goes out of play, so it will be another throw for Sunderland. It will be Thomas Munier once again. He's gone for the perm look going into this season. Waiting to take this throw, but he's firmly looking down that right-hand side. Throws it short to Siddiqui, back to Munier. Emerson chases Ballard. He manages to have enough time to play it back to Roofs quickly. Another long ball down the left-hand side for Sunderland from the goalkeeper, and it's not left in by Angelo, so it will be another Ipswich throw. And I suppose that's what's kind of made the opening 15 minutes here a bit stop-starty. A few players going down, nothing serious. The most serious an injury seemed was just that time when Robin Roofs went down holding his right ankle, but neither side unable to really get a grip of this game and have a passage of play. It's also been a bit of head tennis here and there which is going on between both sides. Neither unable to keep the ball, and O'Shea ensures the ball is cleared away as he fires it down the right hand side, looping it up in the air, and it just curves out behind the white line on this near side, so it will be another Sunderland throw. I suppose that's one thing about the Premier League and football in general. Last year, throw-ins became such a hot topic and such a well-used tactic. Sunderland are one of the teams as well to really excel at their throw-ins. And here they come down the left-hand side as they look to excel through Noah Siddiqui. Enzo Lefebvre looks to open up some room. Lovely fake shot as he sends it over towards this left-hand side for Ronaldo. Here's Angelo looking to try and get away from Fatau, but Fatau not having any of it, dispossesses him, brings the ball out towards his near side once again, and fouls Angelo in the end. So Ipswich give away a free kick deep into their defensive half. Did seem a little bit unfair. When you just look at the replay now, it was a bit of a collision between them both. A bit clumsy from Angelo, but there was contact, which is why the referee, Foray Hallam, blows his whistle to give Sunderland a free kick. In a fairly dangerous position, 16 and a half minutes gone, and Sunderland with a free kick on this near side, looking to get the opening goal of the afternoon. Right arm raised from Xhaka, but to his left is Enzo Lefebvre, so it'll either be the right boot of Lefebvre or the left of Xhaka. Given Xhaka's stature right now, it looks to be him to whip in a ball from this left-hand side. It's a poor one, though. Cleared away by Ipswich very quickly. 09 scoops the ball up in the air, hoping to find a player in pink. Mounier will pick up the ball midway into his attacking half as he carries on his run down the right-hand side. Ball goes out of play. Sunderland throw-in. Daisen Maeda, the final touch. As Luke 09 goes over to that far side. Just as I was saying about the throw-in tactic, all of the players are now swarming into the box. And it will be 09 with the responsibility to throw in this ball to find a Sunderland head. It's a long throw. It doesn't find a Sunderland head, though. It's headed away by Ipswich. Nicely passed out by Xhaka to 09 on that right-hand side. Another ball into the box. And I believe it's Jacob Greaves that meets that 09 delivery once again. Nunez darting down this left-hand side. Xhaka just gets his body in front of Nunez and allows the ball to go out of play. Given that Nunez had the final touch, Sunderland take the throw quickly, and it's back with Roofs, who's just outside of his area over on that right-hand side. Lefay drops deep and finds the ball at his feet now, looking to just navigate the ball forwards. He's got Ronaldo playing like a central midfielder as they just swap positions briefly. Here is Lefay once again. Now to Angelo on this left-hand side. Looking up, bringing it infield to Lefay. Back to Ronaldo, who's moved over towards this left-hand side once again from central. Nice little work between Siddiqui and Ronaldo. Can't keep the ball in play once again, and it's going to be another throw-in. Well, I may be saying that quite a lot in this first half. Siddiqui. Now Xhaka from a central position in the centre circle. Dan Ballard. Another scooped ball in the air, hoping for the run of Broby to find it. But Greaves able to leave the ball for Sherpen, who just moves his right boot over that ball multiple times to bring it back towards the penalty spot. Lefay and Broby reluctant to press, and Kjell Sherpen is sort of taking the Michael a little bit, just keeping the ball at his feet. It's still at his feet, still. Broby then just jogs towards him, and then instantly Sherpen is able to pick it up. Of course, the final touch had come off Broby as Greaves let the ball go over towards Sherpen. But just seconds away from the 20-minute mark, and it's Ipswich 0, Sunderland 0, with the sun beaming down on the Ipswich turf here in the ground. Angelo now with a chance to dart down this left-hand side. Can't keep the second touch, and Ipswich have a throw on this near side once again. Dar O'Shea, the captain, of course, comes into this side, being given the captain's armband. And Gary O'Neill said he's a big part of the plans this year. He'll be the one, or one of the players at least, to set the standards and to show these new signings what Ipswich is all about, and to show the new signings what the journey has been for Ipswich. So he'll be a big player that Gary O'Neill will call upon this season. Here's Lukic now in his own half, over towards Diop. Enzo Lefay pressing in on the centre half. Sherpen with the ball at his feet, a looping ball and a far ball towards this right-hand side. Can they keep the ball? They can't. Sunderland win it back. They wanted to foul briefly though, but advantage is played. Angelo on this near left-hand side. He likes to really hug the touchline, providing the width for Sunderland. 09 fizzing a ball over towards that right-hand side as he switches it to Mounier. Xhaka back to Mounier. Now Ballard again. Emerson close to him, but Roofs finds himself with the ball. And it's a short pass and just back to Roofs. Had to be careful there as the player he fed it to had 3 blue shirts around him who were gunning to win the ball back extremely high up the pitch. And had they been successful there, Ipswich would have certainly had a clear-cut opportunity. 21 and a half minutes gone. Still searching for the first goal here at Ipswich. Here's Broby, linking up with Angelo, keeping the run down the left-hand side as Broby goes back towards the central position. Ronaldo, now 09. Both sides of Sunderland, at least at the moment, looking to just try and keep the ball and gain some sort of momentum. Siddiqui with a nice pass over towards Xhaka. Here's Broby, looks to try and control it on his right. The ball just lost for a moment as Broby didn't look like he was favoured to receive the ball there from that pass from I think it was Enzo Lefebvre feeding it through from that left half space position. Broby was just inside the area, had Leif Davis and Greaves around him, but Broby managed to just control it slightly with his right boot, which allowed him to get to the ball before Leif Davis could, but he just couldn't quite sort his footing out. And Greaves with good defending to allow Sherpen to claim the ball quickly. Sunderland now with the ball in their half again. They're just keeping it. They're winning it back nicely as well when Ipswich get further up the pitch. A lot of their play, though, when they've got the ball up the pitch, has come from the long balls from their new signing between the sticks. Here's 09, bringing the ball out towards this left-hand side for Angelo. Siddiqui back to 09 once again. Little 1-2 with him and Lefebvre. Now Siddiqui down this left-hand side. He's just got Lefebvre to his right, but he'll send it back to 09, who's still in the attacking half, and that's a sloppy pass towards Enciso, who darts forward with Emerson to his left. Brilliant footwork from Enciso. Can they go a goal up? Emerson! And Ipswich take the lead. Luke 09 won't want to look at that one again, but it's Enciso linking up with Emerson, the two new signings for Ipswich, and they're back in the Premier League, and they're in front today. 24 minutes on the clock, and it's Ipswich 1, Sunderland 0. The roof has been lifted here, and Luke 09, I don't want to be negative actually, when you commentate on a goal and you call a goal, something you don't really want to do is say the negative about what the player did, instead say the positive, but it was such a big part of how that goal occurred. Luke 09 feeding it straight to Enciso, but Enciso wasn't done there. He ran 40 yards forward. Brilliant footwork to just shimmy the ball away from a sprinting Ballard who was just trying to hold off Emerson and block that pass, but Enciso took it beyond him. Roofs had to come off his line, but Emerson was to Enciso's left-hand side. He was a bit off balance, Emerson, just had to adjust his body, but he passed it into the back of the empty net. And Sunderland, who have been controlling the possession in the last 15 minutes, find themselves a goal down. Well, how do you come back from that? I suppose you've just got to keep on playing and keep on going. But when you're Luke 09 in that position, someone who is so loved by Sunderland fans, going into his 10th season as a Black Cat player, that mistake is unforgivable at this level. And Enciso certainly punished him there. 25 minutes on the clock. Leif Davis on the ball over on that left-hand side. Hoofed forward from Greaves. Emerson holding it up and heading it down towards Enciso. Ipswich have a spring in their step, and Enciso wins the foul, which just increases the atmosphere for the tractor boys around the ground. It's one of those occasions now where Ipswich have got the first goal. The ground's absolutely rocking, and any decision that goes their way will simply just increase the volume. Not something easy for Reggie Lebre's side to deal with. Albeit they said we're excited. They did say, or Reggie Lebre did say going into this game, he said it was very similar to the Sunderland-West Ham opening game last season, where Sunderland had just come up to the top flight for the first time in a long time, playing a team who are established in the Premier League, and then, of course, getting the better of them and winning 3-0. Well, Ipswich are, so far, looking like they're getting a scoreline that could match that result Sunderland got just over 52 weeks ago. The free kick doesn't mount to anything as Robin Roofs collects the ball, throws it straight out to Mounier on that far right side. Here's Ballard, now 09, just outside of his area, chased down by Enciso. Will really smell blood when 09 gets on the ball. Siddiqui glides away from the sliding challenge of Lukic. Ball out of play. It's a Sunderland throw just in front of Lebre's area. It's Ronaldo back to 09, who will really have to shrug off any doubt now and just look forward. A clipped ball over the top, which Broby finds himself onto. Siddiqui in the box, but a lot of blue shirts back. More pink shirts, though, advancing into the box as they feel like they could have a chance. Ball over on that right-hand side. It's a whipped-in delivery, but it comes off an Ipswich leg and then falls into the gloves of Sherpen, who brings the ball down with his body too onto the turf. And Ipswich will welcome that. 3 minutes away from the 30. Ipswich in front by a goal. And Sherpen throws it up towards Emerson. His distribution is going to be something that will really benefit Ipswich this season. Enciso now on the ball. A confidence player, and he'll be brimming with it at the moment. Davis over on that left-hand side. Here's Lukic. Back out towards Nunez. Lukic just gliding over towards that left-hand side as the two central midfielders come close to each other on that far side. And now on this near side is Fatau. Whipping it in with his left. Not the best delivery. Doesn't find a player, and instead O'Nien will intercept. Ronaldo will shield his body so that Fatau can't win the ball off him. And now Sunderland look to try and gain some momentum. A lovely switch over towards Mounier, who's got room to run into. Lefay making a run into the box. Trey Hume's just in front of him. Ipswich getting bodies back, but Sunderland still have the ball just outside their area. Lefay, Siddiqui with the header, and Sherpen with a brilliant save at his near post, palming it behind for a Sunderland corner kick. But it was a whipped-in ball from Mounier, who just sort of gleefully clipped it in towards Siddiqui, who found himself just in front of Diop. And in fact, the attempt at goal from Siddiqui was more towards Sherpen. Originally, the save looked like he had to come down low to his far bottom corner to deny the effort. But it was certainly a good effort, and something that will give Sunderland hope, as they're certainly finding the room. They've got room now on this left-hand side as Hume plays it back. Here's a chance for O'Nien, looking to undo his errors as he fires it at goal, but there wasn't much power behind it, and it sort of didn't gain any airtime anyway. Just trickled along the grass. A switched ball over towards that left-hand side as the centre-back Ballard goes up to the byline. He wins the corner kick, though. Final touch coming off Marcelino Nunez as Fatau comes back to help out his side defend. Sunderland getting lucky. I mean, the corner kick really caught Ipswich off guard. He played it short, but Lefay had so much room. And he passed it to O'Nien, who was trying to get the goal to get his side back level. Both arms up in the air from Xhaka over on that far side. No short option as he whips it in towards that near post, almost finding the back of the net, but it's headed away off the line by the looks of it. And Enciso chases it down towards this near side. Siddiqui. Now O'Nien. Here's Lefay. Nice cut back as he looks to drift over towards his left-hand side, then tries to just shimmy it in field, but Fatau will win it back. Another long ball forward as Emerson stretches out his leg to be able to receive it. Roofs is out of his box as O'Nien plays it back to him. Here's Xhaka now. Chased down from Maeda. Maeda feels like he should have carried on. And Xhaka waving his arm around to suggest Maeda should be in the book. But Farai Halam not giving out any yellow cards so far. So a third of the match played. Ipswich 1, Sunderland 0. But Sunderland are still looking promising, but they give it away in the middle of the park, and Emerson goes over towards that left-hand side. Lefay just keeping tabs onto him. He's got Mounier around him too. Terrific work from Emerson as he gets away from both of them. Enciso with the attempted effort as he clips it well over the bar, but it was a terrific run from Emerson as he looked to return the favour to Enciso and provide the assist for an Enciso goal. But Enciso didn't have his shooting boots on there, and Emerson falls to the ground. But it was great work from the striker. But it was sloppy defensive work. I mean, when you've got a talented player like Emerson, you do have to double up. But Sunderland got caught out with the double up there between Mounier and Lefay, who went straight over to him. And then when he got the better of both of them, he had so much room to exploit. He made the correct decision, though, trying to find Enciso, who was running in towards that near post area. Now Siddiqui, just on this left-back position. As Ronaldo likes to go more into a central position, or that's what they've done so far, with Siddiqui playing as a full-back. Here's Mounier on the other side. In with Ballard, back to Mounier. Here's Trey Hume, who on the team sheet started out as a right midfielder, but he's in midfield at the moment. It's a nice pass over towards Ronaldo, who touches it down nicely first time to play it back to Xhaka. Over towards his left-hand side for Angelo. Siddiqui on the overlap. Angelo with the deep delivery, but it's too deep and it's beyond the byline. Unable to find Brobby, who was close to it. And it's another goal kick. So an entertaining game so far. Just showing replays of the goal. It's Emerson's goal that has Ipswich in the lead as they look to match a Hull City result. And that's exactly what they're doing. The two new signings linking up well. Goalless in the other games. Everton 0, Crystal Palace 0, and of course Nottingham Forest leads. Brentford host Tottenham later on at 5:30 UK time. Robin Roofs just having to cut it back, and in doing so he gave a chance for Marcelino Nunes to try and win the ball off him. Here's Lefay taking it down nicely, but he can't quite keep it again. It will go out of play though on that far side. It looks like it will be a throw-in for Ipswich. Lefay with a good first touch. It was just the second touch. Just had the pressure coming in from the Ipswich opponent. Wasn't able to guide the ball around him. Of course, Ipswich coming into this game 4 wins in their last 4 in pre-season, which will help Gary O'Neill's credit, as there were mixed reactions when he was announced as Kieran McKenna's successor, but their last game in pre-season was a 4-2 win against Union Berlin. As for Sunderland's pre-season, they won 4 and lost 3. They took part in a specific competition that involved Leeds, Wrexham and Liverpool. Sunderland were only able to beat Wrexham out of that cohort, though. Just over 10 minutes to go of the first half. Sunderland trailing 1-0 as they're on the ball now in the middle of the park, but they're dispossessed by Maeda. Good pressure here for Tau. Back to Nunes, now Greaves, over towards that left for Lukic. Davis. A wide position, playing it back to Greaves now. The press from Sunderland just sees Enzo Lefay and Brobby come close. And Enciso has an arm round him, but he keeps the ball. He's got the low centre of gravity as an advantage. Over on this right-hand side for Fatau to bring the ball into the area. Scoops the ball in, but it's headed away from 09. Not too far, though, but Sunderland keep the ball just outside their own penalty area. Now they're over on that right with Trey Hume. Now Xhaka just over on that right half space midway into his own half. Xhaka again receiving the ball. Blue shirts around him. Finds 09. Bringing the ball forward into his attacking half. Down on this left-hand side is Ronaldo, but it's still 09 given licence to come forward all the way to the byline. But he gives away a goal kick. He's frustrated. He feels it came off an Ipswich player, but that will frustrate Sunderland. In the meantime, Faray Halam is about to dish out his first yellow card, and that will go to Dom Ballard, who is the first Sunderland player to receive a booking of the 2026-27 season for his handling of the back of Julio Enciso. Luke 09 with a first half to forget so far. Don't want to take anything away from his career, of course, but he received the ball from Xhaka in his own half, made a good run, driving run forward, allowed to come all that way towards the byline. But if you're going to hold on to that ball for so long, you've got to make something happen. You can't just give it away and give Ipswich a goal kick from it. Of course, Omar Alderete and Nordi Mukiel are on the bench for Sunderland if Reggie Labrie wanted to be ruthless at half-time. A throw in for Sunderland on that far side, towards the middle of their attacking half for them to attempt a long throw set piece. 09 over towards Ronaldo on this left-hand side. Up with Xhaka. Now 09. Back to the goalkeeper. Roofs, who's well out of his area, keeping the ball. Back to Xhaka now. Still with Xhaka. Ronaldo. Angelo with some brilliant trickery in front of the dugout. Although he did get fouled, Siddiqui carries on his run, takes it away with the drop of the shoulder, sends it across the penalty area. It's picked up just outside, fired goalwards by Trey Hume, straight into an Ipswich player, but Sunderland have the ball in their attacking half. Now in the centre, Ronaldo just playing it through towards Xhaka, who's brought down, and the referee blows his whistle for a foul on Granit Xhaka, committed by Diop. And this is a good position for a free kick for Sunderland as they look to end the first half strongly, as they're looking to make the game level, as they currently trail by just a goal. And it's of brilliant striking range for Enzo Lefebvre, who had a fairly successful pre-season, scoring a few goals throughout. Kjell Scherpen just at his near post, organising the wall. Enzo Lefebvre looking focused, eyes on the goal, just looking at Kjell Scherpen so intensely, waiting for Scherpen to get back to the middle of his net, which is what he's done now. So Angelo over this, Enzo Lefebvre and Xhaka. It's about 30 yards out. It'll be Angelo who takes it in the end. And it's more towards a left-sided position, just away from the D. It's still central enough to strike it. So it's either going to be the left boot of Xhaka or the right of Angelo. Amid a wall of about 5 players, it's Angelo! And it's in! A brilliant free kick from the Sunderland number 10, coming off the underside of the crossbar into the back of the net and beating Kjell Scherpen. 1-1 here at the Ipswich Stadium. And he would have taken some beating. That tall, large frame of Kjell Scherpen was beaten at the most precise point from Angelo, whipping it over the wall, hitting the underside of the crossbar. And then it was such a firm hit. The ball whacked onto the ground, right up into the roof of the net, to confirm to those Sunderland fans that it's well and truly crossed the line. 5 minutes to go of the first half, and Reggie Lebrie's men are back level. Sucker punch for Ipswich as they head towards the break. Well, they've still shown plenty of promise, but of course Sunderland have got that advantage where all of these players know how to play with one another. They're a very solid unit, and that's where they do have the upper advantage on Ipswich, given that the majority of this Ipswich starting 11 are playing with each other for the first time. Angelo, Ronaldo, Sunderland looking to try and get in the lead. They'll get a corner kick though. Down on this near side, it was the left back Ronaldo who looked to whip in a ball from a wide position. Comes off the captain O'Shea and out for a corner on this near side. Ipswich backpedaling, and that's just taken a sting out of the atmosphere. The booked Dan Ballard just having words with the referee. 4 players in pink for Sunderland towards the middle to right side of the goal. Enzo Lefebvre will be the taker on this near side. Right arm raised. It'll be an in-swinging delivery from the Frenchman. Well, no, it won't. It'll be to Granit Xhaka with the short corner, who whips it in with his left, but it's so deep it's unable to find a player in pink, and Enciso will try to come away with it down the left-hand side. Just brings it in to his right, loops it up in the air towards Emerson, tries to turn around 09, but Siddiqui's there to help out his player. Sliding in was Nunez to try and put off the defender for Sunderland. 41.5 minutes gone, and it's Ipswich 1, Sunderland 1. Here's Lefebvre. Ronaldo. Over on that right-hand side now is Lefebvre looking to clip the ball forward. Can't find a player for Jacob Greaves. Sunderland will try to regain the ball in the middle of the park, but instead Ronaldo cuts out a pass over towards Fatau and plays it back to Roofs. 3 minutes left of the first half. Another looping ball up towards Broby, but he can't keep it. And Ipswich get the free kick as Broby was in an offside position at the time the ball left Roofs' boot. Here's Dar O'Shea, almost dispossessed from Angelo, but he puts pressure on his back line. And now Broby chases Diop and just pushes him a little bit off balance. So Ipswich will have a free kick. Two and a half minutes left. So you'd imagine Gary O'Neill, I'm sure whether you'd want to limit the damage and just go into the break one apiece. I'm sure every Ipswich fan would have taken this result going into this game. But they could have a chance now as they win the ball back in their own half. Breaking forward and Ciso darting down the left-hand side as Davis provides it to the Paraguayan, looking to just open up some room, clipping the ball in, but it comes off a Sunderland player. Ball still in the penalty area, just outside now, but dispossessed is Fatau as Angelo comes forward. Broby sliding in was Jacob Greaves to win the ball back, but Ipswich couldn't keep it for long, and now Sunderland have it once again. Ronaldo back to Xhaka. Xhaka just walking with the ball, just nudging it in front, knowing that Ipswich won't press him in this moment, given how close we are to the half-time break. Ipswich set up right now in two banks of four, and Ciso just behind Emerson, so a slight change in formation as they find themselves out of possession. Lefay back to Ballard, just over on that halfway line on that far side. Ballard to Mounier. Back to Ballard. Xhaka organising Ballard to play it back to 09 with the ball. 09 stretched out towards that right-hand side with both centre-halves shifting over on that far side. Here is 09. Now Xhaka. So just able to play it around the Ipswich attack as we're into the final minute here of normal time in this first half. Xhaka. Back to Mounier. Keeps the ball. This time it's another one over the top. Broby doesn't get there as Sherpen was well positioned to come off his line and karate kick the ball into the Ipswich stand in front of him. Angelo has really been a positive outlet for Sunderland in this first half. Of course, he only managed to get last season 8 appearances under his belt. Of course, he was injured for a long period of time, Angelo. And now he's back in the lineup, and I'm sure he'll be a player that ends up being a very bright spark for Sunderland. 2 minutes added on here in the first half. Sunderland with the ball in their own half again. Angelo. Back to Ronaldo. Here's 09. Siddiqui on the half turn, a lovely turn, but he's fouled. Just holding his back as Marcelino Nunez is the one that fouled him. Of course, the Chilean who came from Norwich and a very controversial signing from Norfolk. He, like Gary O'Neill, can say they've both been employed by Norwich and Ipswich in their footballing careers. But it's a free kick for Sunderland, and Roofs will be the one to take it. Him and 09 are the only players in their defensive half as everyone has shifted over towards that far right wing position for Sunderland. A long ball, underneath it is Greaves. Back to Xhaka, playing it across, attempting to find Angelo. Instead, O'Shea will just get there in front of him. Xhaka on the ball, back to 09, just in the midway point of the pitch. Here's Mounier. As we're into the final 40 seconds of the half, and it looks like Sunderland are just going to see the game out now as 09 plays it back to Roofs outside of his area. And Ciso and Fatau just close to Roofs as he plays a confident pass, let's say, to his midfield, and there's a lot of room now for Sunderland to exploit as they get closer to the penalty box. Here's Siddiqui, touches it down, looks to be pushed off balance, no foul though. Angelo picking up the ball. Here's room now for Ronaldo inside the area, clipping it towards that back post just beyond Try Hume, and it looks like that will probably be the last bit of play of the first half, as we're into the final 2 seconds to be precise. Back to Ballard as Sunderland could get a potential last bit of action, but that will be that for the first half. A great start for Ipswich as Enciso managed to put 09 off and charge down the right half space, threading it across the penalty area to Emerson to open up his account for Ipswich. And Angelo wanted to make sure that Ipswich's joy was short-lived as he took responsibility of the free kick just before the 40th minute, looping it over the wall, underneath the crossbar and into the back of the net, beating Kjell Sherpen to make it 1 apiece at half-time. We'll be back in just under 15 minutes for the start of the second half between Ipswich and Sunderland. So welcome back everyone for the start of the second half. Half time over, the players back out onto the pitch, the substitutes, the ball boys. The half time entertainment just coming off as the players are out and ready to kick things off. We're starting the second half exactly how we started the first. All level here, except both sides have found the back of the net on each occasion. And of course for Ipswich it was Emerson's goal and Angelo's free kick for Sunderland. So an exciting first half. That started off a bit cagey. Felt like the ball spent most of its time out of play, but then we really started to see the game get going. Sunderland play through the lines, and Ipswich show their work ethic and will to press and really play down the wings and cause Sunderland some issues. It looks like no substitutions have been made at half-time. It will be Julio Enciso in the middle of the pitch to kick things off as he plays the short pass to his colleague in Nunez. So in this second half, Ipswich shooting to my left, and therefore Sunderland shooting to my right. Who would have thought? Jacob Greaves on the ball, still in the centre-half position. So thank you for joining us, everyone, here at the Ipswich Stadium. I'll just go through the lineups for Ipswich. It's Kjell Sherpen in goal, Dara O'Shea on the right-back position, and Issa Diop and Jacob Greaves in centre-half. Leif Davis left-back with Sasa Lukic and Marcelinho Nunez as the central midfielders. Issa Fatau on the right, Dyson Maeda on the left, and Julio Enciso just behind Emerson. For Sunderland, it's an unchanged lineup since their first half beginning. In Robin Roofs in goal, Thomas Mounier, the new signing, Dan Ballard, Luke O'Nien as the centre-halves, and Ronaldo playing as the left-back, albeit we've seen him slightly go into midfield sometimes, bringing Siddiqui over to the left, who's in midfield. Granit Xhaka is with Siddiqui, Trey Hume, Enzo Lefebvre and Angelo in front of those two midfielders, and Brian Brobby in front of the rest. Brobby had the first opportunity of the game in the first 5 minutes. It was a lovely ball threaded through from Trey Hume. Brobby firing it low, and it was a good block from Leif Davis to deny last season's top goal scorer for Sunderland an opening goal on the opening day. 90 seconds into this first half, and it's Ipswich who give away a throw, so Sunderland have the chance on that far side to try and make something work. Reggie Labrie sat down, right hand just directing his face as he looks around, scratching his hair. Well, he was scratching his head when he saw Luke O'Nien give the ball away to Enciso to bomb forward and open up Ipswich's first goal of the campaign. Luke O'Nien with the throw in this time to try and provide an assist. It's over Ballard. Diop heads it away. Fatau will chase it over towards that far side. And it's won back by O'Nien, who takes the throw quickly once again. It's not a long throw. Instead, it's whipped in just past the post. It was a deep delivery from Enzo Lefebvre, and it had Sherpen concerned for a brief moment as it was just looping towards that far corner that Sherpen had to then be alert for. I was expecting the net to bulge, but Sherpen was let off as the option or opportunity was just wide. Diop now with the long ball forward. Doesn't find a player in blue and white. Instead, Ronaldo will allow O'Nien to send another ball forward. But Brobby is offside, and Diop will take the free kick. Just gives the thumbs up to his centre-half colleague in Jacob Greaves, who of course signed from Hull City in 2023. Of course, the other promoted side in this season. Here's Davis. Just trying to play it back to Nunez. Comes off a Sunderland player who tried to intercept, went out of play, and Nunez took the throw in quickly. Here's Greaves back to show off the underside of the crossbar and in, beating the helpless Dutch goalkeeper. O'Nien touches the ball down and plays it back to Roofs, just outside of a 6-yard box. Tucks it over towards that left-hand side, but it's overhit, and the ball's back with Sherpen now. He just brings the ball into the penalty area. Here's Greaves, midway into his own half. Nunez. Greaves again. Now Nunez once more. Playing down this left-hand side just in this brief moment. Maeda clipping a ball nicely up towards Emerson, who holds it up well. Here's Enciso in the centre circle. Sending a ball across the ground to Fatau. Up against Ronaldo. Fatau, burst of pace towards the byline, and it's a devastating miss from Maeda, who had an open goal, just needed to head it back in, but instead he completely misconnected that. And the ball then looped over towards this left-hand side for Ipswich, so it didn't even go behind the goal for a goal kick. But Maeda just bounced off the top of his head and looped vertically in the air. Had he connected that well and nodded it forward, it would be 2 on Ipswich, as Roofs was well and truly beaten from the Fatau delivery, which just eliminated Roofs from that picture. Here's Greaves. Now Diop, over towards that right-hand side, whipped in. It does find Enciso, just wide. Enciso had his back to goal. He was going for the ambitious effort where he was just flicking it goalwards, hoping that it would find the back of the net. But that would have been some finish. Over towards that near part of the 6-yard box. He was about 3 yards in front of the edge of that area, and then just tried to guide it with the top of his right boot into that bottom left corner. But it's wide, and Enciso filled with confidence, as people go into the season wondering what players may shine this season for the teams towards the bottom end of the table and mid-table. You feel like a player like Angelo for Sunderland and Enciso for Ipswich will be some of those star names this season. Enciso on the ball again, just bringing 2 players close to him. Doesn't have the footwork to beat Lefay there, who then tries to come forward, but sliding in was Greaves to dispossess the Sunderland number 28. 51.5 minutes gone, and we're still level, a goal each between Ipswich and Sunderland. Of course, the 2 first-half goals from Emerson and Angelo. Here's 09, midway into his own half. Emerson holding off the press, but whilst 09 is able to just walk with the ball, Emerson and the rest of his side are just getting back deeper, which is what Sunderland would want. Now Ronaldo over on that left-hand side. It looked like the ball crept out of play, but it's Siddiqui who brings it in. He clips in an effort, but Greaves heads it away just outside the area. Diop mistimes it. Here's a chance again. Broby in the area. Surely just needed to sort out his footing. Mounier to Hume, pulls it across and scurried away by Ipswich. What a dangerous picture that was for Sunderland, as they managed to dispossess Ipswich just outside of their penalty area. Ronaldo was fed the ball by Enzo Lefay, and then he pulled it across to Broby, who had his back to goal and just couldn't find the space to pull off the strike. But they're getting close, Sunderland. They're dispossessed deep into their own half, though, as Ipswich look to play it down the line to Enciso. Ballard was close to Enciso. Now it's Xhaka. Enciso beating Xhaka. Good footwork up against Angelo. Here's Enciso. Sends it across to Emerson. Enciso keeps it alive, but is he offside? Wow. That was such a quick breakaway from Ipswich. The picture when Enciso picked up the ball from that pass forward, you thought Xhaka was then going to close in on Enciso, but instead Xhaka decided to come further infield to block any sort of pass Enciso may have tried to make. And then when Enciso gets into the box, he sends it in the air. It was slightly awkward for Emerson, as he really had to try and get some power behind the header. And then when he did, he headed it across to Maeda, who was running in from a central position. And then Enciso was there, albeit in an offside position. Still 1-1, but an exciting game here at the Ipswich Stadium in England's top flight. Roofs outside of the D. Another left-footed ball forward. Touchdown, but cleared away from Diop. Xhaka stretches out his leg, but he can't keep it. Fatau then fouled, and Farai Halam will signal for a Ipswich free kick, which they tried to take quickly. And I think there will be another yellow card. I don't think I know, as a second player for Sunderland goes into the book, and it's the goal scorer, Angelo, who got in front of the free kick. Ipswich tried taking it quickly, and Angelo was just in front of, I think it was Marcelino Nunez, who tried to pass it forward, and instead Angelo was about a yard in front of him. So for blocking off the free kick, he's been booked. Here's Fatau, fizzing the ball out for a goal kick. Ghanaian unable to create anything down that right-hand side. 55 minutes on the clock. And they're just showing a replay there. It was Nunez who tried to play it forward. I think Angelo's argument was that he was trying to trot back anyway. It was more of just an unfortunate circumstance. He just happened to find himself in front of Nunez before he took the free kick. All did happen fairly quickly, but here's Ballard. A switch over towards that left-hand side. Ronaldo tried stretching to get it, but he was unable to. Ipswich with another throw in which they take quickly. Fatau trying to show off his footwork, but he's unable to make something happen there. Takes it out of play, but wins it back now, but not forever, as Xhaka gets a decisive touch to Lefay. Here's Ballard. Still in their own half as Sunderland looks to try and come forward. Lefay just gliding around Nunez. No foul there, but he needs to spit words out. Nunez just tried to thread it forward to Enciso, but I think it was Xhaka who managed to get a brief touch to intercept the ball and guide it away from the run of Enciso. Here is Xhaka looking for Broby down this near right-hand side. An advanced ball there from Xhaka as Meunier finds the ball on this right. That's a clever pass towards the byline. Pulled across. In comes Angelo. But just in front of him was Dara O'Shea with a captain leading block. Sunderland still with a firm grip on this attack. Every outfield player in their attacking half. Xhaka over towards Lefay. Infield for Meunier. Just outside the area. Lefay now into Broby. Just guiding with the ball. Still Meunier. It's now Siddiqui. Xhaka again. Meunier looking to bring it in on his left. Instead, he does a lovely outside of the boot cross with the outside of his right boot. Just bounces a second time. Fatau brought down, and it looks like it could be another yellow card, but it's taken quickly, so no yellow card. And then Enciso just completely lost sight of the ball. As the ball was up in the air, it hit the back of Enciso, and all of a sudden his head was moving around quick, like a rabbit, trying to locate the ball that he desired. And he made the most of that. He would have definitely found himself charging towards the goalkeeper and opening up another chance for Ipswich. Here's Angelo, over on that left-hand side, with Xhaka just inside. Siddiqui back to Ronaldo. Angelo picks up the ball again. Still Ronaldo. Little 1-2 with Siddiqui as Siddiqui unleashes the ball back to Ronaldo, and then Siddiqui goes over towards that left-hand side, just trying to drag some players out of position to open up room in the midfield. Siddiqui coming close. Siddiqui winning the foul. Jacob Greaves, or it's actually Sasa Lukic, who sort of had his hands up. I think he was saying to the referee, he didn't intend on that, but we'll see. Our first substitution made. Reggie Labrie taking off Angelo. Of course, he has been booked, but he'll be coming off with a round of applause from the Sunderland faithful in that corner of the Ipswich Stadium, as he was the man to get them back level in the first half. So Chemsdean Talby makes his first appearance of his second campaign here at Sunderland, as he looks to come on and try and steer Sunderland into the lead for the first time this season. Of course, he's got a memorable goal in West London last season, where he scored in the last minute to seal the win for Sunderland at Chelsea. Can he do the same again against a team donned in blue? Here's Leif Davis. Ball over the top. It's a nice ball over towards Maeda, towards the byline. Doesn't have much room as Mounier was coming across, and Mounier arguing with the referee as he feels it shouldn't be a corner kick, but that's what the outcome will be. Maeda managed to time his run magnificently. Couldn't quite work out the first touch. But I'm unable to see how Mounier's got a case to argue there. Just having a look at a closer angle. Ooh, do you know what? I completely go back on that. It did finally come off Maeda. I mean, it's a very slight touch. It is clear when you look at the replays back. But you can forgive a fourth official or assistant referee for making that call in real time. So this is Sunderland's fourth corner. Nope, it's Ipswich's first corner of the game. Sunderland have had 4 as we are into the last half hour of the game here. Nunez with a corner kick over towards Greaves, but he can't keep his footing, and now Sunderland look to try and get bodies forward as they hit them on the counter. It's 3-on-2 for Sunderland. A lovely ball switched across, but it was intercepted by Fatau. Brilliant work there as he manages to intercept it, allowing Ipswich players to come back. Here's Enciso, though, who picks up the ball, and what looked like a disastrous fit picture for Sunderland, or no, for Ipswich even, has suddenly turned in Ipswich's favour, but not for long. Here's Roofs. Back with some safe possession for Sunderland, but brilliant work from the Ghanaian Issa Fatau to intercept that ball as Talby tried to find the run, I think, of Brian Broby. Sunderland on the attack, or looking to try and carve an attack down this right-hand side. It's Mounier linking up with Siddiqui. Mounier back to Ballard. 09 over towards Ronaldo. Ronaldo again taking it on his right, sending it into the box with his left. It was across the ground. Ipswich managed to clear their lines. Emerson outstretched to try and receive the ball, and instead he's fouled by Xhaka, so it will be a foul. Well, the game still alive here, and both teams really giving it their all. An exciting battle between these two. Sunderland looks sharp and smart at times. They do just, I feel, have that edge when it comes to looking a bit more clinical, as Ipswich just give away the ball there through Sasa Lukic. He wins it back and plays it back to Greaves. Here's O'Shea, Diop. Good pressure now from Sunderland as they've been given the instruction to really press that Ipswich midfield and defence when they're trying to play it between the two lines. Roofs once again. And Ciso and Emerson exactly next to each other, just about 5 to 10 yards apart, spearheading this Ipswich side. And Ciso closing in on Luke 09, and not again. 09's giving it away, and it's going to be a yellow card, and Ciso feels it should be more, and I think he's been given his marching orders. A yellow card, so he certainly hasn't been. Did think that it wasn't the last man, but 09 once again being caught out by Enciso. Couldn't argue there, Luke 09. But Enciso terrorising the Sunderland centre-half. In the first half, of course, that's what set up Ipswich's goal. We'll be having nightmares of Enciso tonight if Sunderland aren't able to get something from this game. So here we go. A chance now for Ipswich to get back into the lead. 19 minutes into this first half. It's clipped in. It's towards Diop. Calls for a handball, but it's still in the final third of the Ipswich attack. Here's Fatau. He's got 2 pink players onto him, but he takes it to the byline. Can't quite find Diop. Instead, he gets a corner as he looked to try and pull it across the penalty area. But Sunderland were frantic in their defending and hit it behind for a corner kick. Fatau looking like a dangerous player for Ipswich. So far their signings have worked well. And they'll give lots of promise and confidence to the Ipswich faithful. A corner kick now. We're into the final 25 minutes of the afternoon. Fatau trying to curl it in. Roofs is off his line and it's whacked over from Nunez. As I think for a brief moment they both thought that the ball was going to still be in play. When he first whacked it, it looked like it was going to go straight into the stand behind Roof's goal. Instead, I think he just kind of miskicked it and saw the ball go up in the air. We'll just have a look here. Whacking it all the way up in the air. I'm unsure. Well, clearly he just sliced it. So he didn't have any sort of direction on that other than the sky. Of course, as I was saying, Ipswich, they look like they've recruited well. Of course, they've only played 65 minutes of top-flight football this season. And, of course, there's still an awfully long way to go. But it is promising for Ipswich. Gary O'Neill did say, though, that the togetherness of their fans and the core of their squad that got them to this position are more important than any transfer spree in the summer window. Emerson comes off, though, and he's replaced by Casey McAteer. Fatau is also off, and down, or back out on the pitch, is Chuba Akpom. So it looks like Casey McAteer will go in the middle, perhaps, and Enciso may be shifted out right. And, of course, Chuba Akpom comes on. The last top-flight game he played was in February 2015, and that was for Arsenal. So he actually holds the second highest record for the longest stint between Premier League appearances. The only other player that's actually ahead of him is, of course, Cristiano Ronaldo, after he left Manchester United in 2009 and returned in 2021. Some substitutions made by Reggie Labrie. Omar Alderete comes on for Luke O'Nien, and Wilson Isidore replaces Brian Broby. And of course, Isidore comes into the side after having been at the World Cup for Haiti. He, in fact, scored at the World Cup in one of the knockout rounds in the 4-2 defeat against Morocco. He actually put his side 2-1 up in the first half. He'll be looking to do the same this afternoon. But an afternoon to forget for Luke O'Nien. Here is Lefay down on this right-hand side, just trying to clip it back to Mounier, but Maeda does his defensive work well as he comes to intercept that, sliding in on that attempted pass forward. Only 28 years of old, so in the peak of his career, Maeda, 44 goals for Celtic in his 4 years there. Of course, scored a lot of goals last season as well. Can't make anything happen from that throw, as Trey Hume tried finding one of the players in the box, but it goes behind for a goal kick. Of course, Luke O'Nien was originally taking the throws, and since his departure, it will fall on the shoulders of the Northern Irish Trey Hume. Of course, has had a good pre-season, scored twice in pre-season. He played every Premier League, every top-flight game last year. So he's well accustomed to the top flight now. Dara O'Shea just brought down from Talby. Here's Nunez. Back towards Diop. 68.5 minutes on the clock. Still Ipswich 1, Sunderland 1 here. Now Maeda chesting it down in his attacking half, guiding the ball on the outside, looks to whip in a delivery up towards Chuba Akpom, using his body well, but he just couldn't quite sort his footing out, which allowed Sunderland to regain possession. Here they now come in their own attacking half. Isidore trying to clip it over towards one of his colleagues, but it's well defended by Ipswich as Davis just passes it gently towards Nunez. Isidore closing in on Sherpen, who whacks it forward. It's intercepted by Xhaka. He had Enciso around him, but here is Alderete now, the Paraguayan, who of course played for Paraguay in the World Cup in their big run to the last 16. Missed the whole of pre-season though, Alderete, so he's back in now, and he's coming in at quite an important moment in this first game of the top flight. This is a sight that Ipswich don't want to see, and Ciso currently on the ground, and if he was to be badly injured here, that would be worrying. It doesn't look good. He's sort of shaking his head, whether he's saying to his colleagues it's nothing to worry about, but he's still down. He's covering his mouth as he's speaking with Dara O'Shea. Jack Clark's going to come on anyway, and you can imagine Jack Clark would have probably come on for Julio Enciso. So if Enciso is to go off injured here, that would be a real blow, but he is being lifted up by both medical staff members. Now just doing some little calf raises, it looks like. I think it's something to do with his ankle. He walks off, drinking some water. Medical staff members either side of him, as he will now be taken off officially for Jack Clark. Julio Enciso met with a round of applause around the Ipswich Stadium. He'll certainly be becoming a fan's favourite again. Of course, he played for them in their first season in the top flight back in 2024-25. Went to Strasbourg, or originally signed for Bluco, if you like, which was quite a peculiar signing at the time. The first time a player had actually signed for a company rather than a club. Make of that what you will. Rather strange, peculiar, or also a sign of modern-day football, to be honest. But Jack Clark replaces him. Of course, their top goal scorer in last year's championship. 16 goals to his name in the second tier of English football. He comes on for the final 19 minutes plus added time. Ball currently in the grasp of Sherp. High throw out towards Diop, who finds the pass towards Akpom. He chases it down, sliding challenge from Ballard. Xhaka does well to hold off the ball from 4 Ipswich players around him. Sliding in was Dara O'Shea. Here's Davis looking to just hold up the ball. Back to Greaves. A clipped ball towards the halfway line is intercepted by Mounier. Here is Mounier again, looking to take it in. Plays it back towards Ballard. Now Alderete. So the current statistics, it's showing how equal it is right now in terms of the attacking pressure. 19 touches in the opposition box for both sides, stands at 19. Now at half-time, Ipswich had only had 35% possession. So they were certainly happy to just sort of swallow up this Sunderland pressure and then try and spit it back out at them by hitting them on the transition. Scores elsewhere in the division though. Everton 2, Crystal Palace 0, and it's still goalless between Forest and Leeds. Current statistics though. 37% possession from Ipswich. Similar shots though for both sides. 8 for Ipswich compared to Sunderland's 9. Sunderland on the ball. Here's Xhaka. Clipped ball forward. It's headed away from the number 5. Here comes Sunderland once again though. Down their left. Xhaka again. Over on that left once more. Sunderland looking to try and gather some momentum as they whip in a ball. It's headed away from Maeda. Now nodded back to Alderete from Ballard. Here's Xhaka. Alderete again, just anchoring the Sunderland team. Nice turn there from Talby as he's brought down. Wins the foul. Oh, no, he doesn't. Eyes on the referee. I thought when Talby went down it was going to be a foul. But Faray Halam didn't believe so. And here come Ipswich. 73.5 minutes on the clock. Ipswich looking to try and regain their lead. But a pass like that from Maeda, which is intercepted by Hume, won't help his side out in that case. Here's Ronaldo. 1-1 is the scoreline. Alderete just inside the centre circle. Here's Ballard coming forward and passing it out towards this right hand side for Mounier. Trey Hume now He's just got 2 blue shirts onto him, but he improvises brilliantly and backheels it to Mounier, who sends in a delivery, but it's Dara O'Shea who heads it away. Good work there from the skipper. But that was even more good work from Hume, as he was able to just find Mounier with the underlapping run. Just over a quarter of an hour to go. Alderete on the ball again in his own half, looking to just bring it into his attacking half, sending it over towards that left-hand side, but it's a fizzed pass in towards Ronaldo, who had to lunge out his leg there and he couldn't keep it in, so it goes into the crowd just behind him and out for another Ipswich throw-in. Here's Hume. Now Ballard. Game just dying down a little. I suppose they've brought on substitutions, both sides now, who are just trying to get back into the game. Did feel like there was a real free-flowing spirit to it for large parts, especially after half-time. But when you bring on other players who can provide something different, you will then see the momentum slightly change. But Sunderland dominating the ball. However, Ipswich are managing to defend well and getting slide challenges in that are effective. Here's Clark across to Davis. Could they have a chance now? Davis whipping in a ball. It doesn't find a player in the box. Instead, it's intercepted and goes behind by Dan Ballard. Another corner kick on this near side as Ipswich continue to put pressure on Sunderland. They've been good down the wings, Ipswich, especially when Fatau was on. Dangerous player, of course, signing him for £20 million. Of course, their only player that's not involved or hadn't been involved in the team today was Fiorentino, who was signed from Burnley. Another player to anchor that midfield. Lukic sending in a ball, punched away from Roofs. Nunez keeps it alive, but it's just sent back. It's clipped into the area again, but it's one of poor quality, as Roofs will then collect it and drop kick it instantly. I'm sure he's trying to find Isidore, of course. But Ipswich regain the ball. Little 1-2 going on between Lukic and Nunez. Davies popping up in the centre of midfield. Diop over towards Dara O'Shea. There's one thing that hasn't changed for Ipswich so far. They're back 4 this afternoon. They've changed all of the attacking players, but their midfield and defence has stayed the same. Here's Greaves, charging down the left, sending it more wide over towards Maeda, who's just in front of the 2 coach dugouts. Greaves again, back to Nunez, just dropping in between both centre-halves as Xhaka leads the press for Sunderland. Headed forward by Dara O'Shea towards Clark. Akpom trying to gain sight of the ball. It just bounces out of play, so it will be a throw-in. 2 more substitutions coming on for Reggie Labree's side. It's looking like the youngster Chris Rigg will be joined by Habib Diarra. But Ipswich currently on the ball now. 78 minutes on the clock, still 1-1 between the 2 sides. Down on this near side is Maeda, who picks up that firm pass from midfield. Here's Nunez again, starting to try and get forward into their attacking half more. Greaves, Nunez, over towards that right-hand side for O'Shea. Closing in on him is Talby. Here's Lukic, who just has to be careful, gets the ball and then instantly has Siddiqui pressing into him. Now Davis picks up the ball and brings it on the inside once again. Of course, Leif Davis, a real fans' favourite here at Ipswich. Seen them rise to the top division in 2 seasons, of course. His last season was extremely successful in the 2nd tier, where he found himself registering 18 assists when they got promoted. Only managed 4 last year, but he's clearly someone that Ipswich feel that they can have at both levels. Not one of those players to jump ship when the side that he gets relegated with goes down. The substitutions to be made. Time will tell to see who will come off. It will be the number 32 in Trey Hume, who of course had a really nice pass through to Brobby in the first half, very early on. Could have easily seen him assist the opener had Brobby's effort not been saved. Lafay is off as well as Habib Diarra comes on, who's going into his second season as a Black Cat, signed from Strasbourg, of course. And that is the end of the action for Dazen Maeda. Coming on for Ipswich, the number 8 in Sindre Vale Igili, of course signed last summer, the Norwegian, and he's joined with Abdul Ouattara. Another new signing from Strasbourg. A lot of Strasbourg mentions in this live stream so far, producing a lot of players that end up going to Europe and England. So Ouattara on. Of course, he only managed 2 goals last season in 28 games when he was under the stewardship of Liam Rosenior and Gary O'Neill. And he's back under the stewardship of O'Neill, and he'll look to try and show his quality. And there he is, just by his own byline in his defensive half, cutting out that pass towards Habib Diarra. So we're into the final 9 minutes now, and there'll be a throw-in on this near side, deep into their attacking half, Sunderland. It'll be Thomas Meunier. Still waiting to take the throw. It's long, not particularly deep enough, though. Finds the first man as Meunier strikes it, and had Shell Sherpen coming towards the mid part of his goal to collect that effort. But my word, that would have been some goal. Meunier with the throw. It then gets headed away out to Xhaka, who then passes it and clips it towards Meunier, who then hits it on the volley, swerving it goalwards. And Sherpen had to come down to collect that. But what an opening goal that would be in your first game of England's top flight. Roofs on the ball. Another long ball into the air, trying to find someone down the left-hand side, but it's neatly headed back by O'Shea to Sherpen. Of course, these two on their travels next week in the cup competition. Ipswich host Leicester. And as for their next top flight game, they travel to Manchester United away, as they look to inflict 2 defeats on Manchester United in their opening 2 games. What a story that would be. And one that a lot of people would be giving a lot of views to. Fulham at home is Sunderland's next game next week, of course, because they're in the second tier of European competition. They are not participating in the next round of the English League Cup. So a foul has been committed, and it's probably the most feisty the players have got at one another. There's no pushing and shoving, but actually that's one thing that's just kind of occurred to me after seeing that collision, where you see the temperatures raised just a little bit. I mean, it was a really, really silly challenge from the number 8, Igeli, who got up high and almost injured the Sunderland player. There's not been many argy-bargies. There's not been much animosity between these two sides. I suppose Ipswich are happy to be there for today. And Sunderland are happy and looking ahead to their season. I suppose as well, when it's the first game of the season, naturally it won't feel as tense as perhaps the last game, or when you get to the business end, when fates look likely. Here's Akpom, tricky feet, but he's swarmed in by a collection of Sunderland players, unable to guide through them, even with his big frame. So 6 minutes left of the full 90. I believe every substitution has been made that can be made. But no goals in this second half. Still entertaining though. The ball's been played round quickly. Both sides have wanted to attack. By no means has it been a bore fest. There will be a free kick, just for a little foul made by a Sunderland player. The ball currently over on that far side, just about 2 yards away from the parameter. Deep over on that right-hand side for Ipswich, as they shoot to my left. League-Ipswich will be the player to send in a delivery. Just does a dummy. Now he will do the real thing. Looping in a ball. Roofs is collecting it. And that is that for Robin Roofs. Good work there. He saw it all the way. And it wasn't troubling him at all. Ballard, the number 5, on the ball. 5 minutes left. Still one apiece here at the Ipswich Stadium. Alderete, forward pass over towards Talby. Siddiqui can't keep it, but Ronaldo helps him out and just passes it forward towards Siddiqui again, who's got O'Shea and Clark onto him, but there's some room now over on that left-hand side as Diop goes closely in towards Chemsdean Talby to block that cross, which is what he does. Sunderland still have a corner kick, though, to come. But Talby wasn't in an offside position, so slightly fortunate there for Sunderland if they're able to make something happen from this corner kick. Given that had they scored, it would have probably, if not definitely, been ruled out. So an outswinging delivery on that far side. Talby towards the front post. Alderete and Ballard towards the back as Ballard sprinting around, gives a push to one of the Ipswich players, the latest player to make an entrance in Wale Ageli. Ball all the way back to Robin Roofs though. Another ball threaded over towards that far left-hand side. A foul has been committed. As O'Shea's down on the floor, down on his knees and his head's on the ground. Both hands just to his side. Now he's back up. Straight away, the Ipswich skipper. Another fan's favourite for Ipswich as well. He's had a strong game as we close in on the final 3 minutes of the 90. Could we see a late goal? Or will the points have to be shared after match week 1? So, free kick taken in the defensive half by Sherpen. The final touch comes off an Ipswich player as it goes out for what would have been a goal kick, but Casey McAteer is judged to have fouled his Sunderland opponent. So a free kick to be the outcome. But a strong performance from Ipswich. If they're able to take something from this game, they will be happy. I know they were a goal up, which may feel like it could be 2 points dropped, but I think so much of the game has happened since Angelo's free kick that he scored nicely that I don't think 2 points dropped can actually be a thought process for Ipswich. Sunderland will feel, if the result remains this way, that they perhaps could have got more, should have been a bit more efficient when they got the ball into the final third, because they certainly had the ball in promising areas, as have Ipswich. But here's a chance, maybe, as the ball just bobbles to Jack Clark. Of course, spent some time on loan at Sunderland, following his stint at Leeds and then Tottenham. Almost could have got a late goal there. Leeds are a goal up against Forest. Everton still 2-0 up against Crystal Palace. Of course, Sunderland and Ipswich still 1 apiece. Here's Xhaka, just in his own half. 89 minutes on the clock as we get closer and closer to the full-time whistle. Looped up in the air down this right-hand side by Mounier, who's had a good debut. Certainly showed his class and experience at times a steady player, someone that you'll get 7 out of 10s from every week, I'd imagine. And he's got plenty of European pedigree. It's a smart signing for Sunderland, given the season they've got coming up. Alderete trying to clip a ball over towards their left-hand side. He can't do that, though, and it's cut out by Casey McAteer. Then laid off to their central midfielder. Alderete. Forward pass, but it's intercepted. Here could be a chance as Lukic plays it towards Clark, curls it and scores a brilliant curling goal against his former side, assisted by the new boy Sasa Lukic. But Ipswich make it 2-1 right at the very end of the 90. A beautiful finish from Jack Clark, who just picked up the ball following that pass, composed himself and curled it in with his right boot into that far corner. It came out of nowhere. Omar Alderete, the player that came on as a substitute, gave the ball away. Lukic pounced on it in his attacking half. Clark made the run, glided with the ball just a couple of yards, brought it into the penalty area and then stroked it home brilliantly. And it's Ipswich 2, Sunderland 1. A slight bit of fortune perhaps with a little deflection off the calf of Dan Ballard, which may have just taken it over Robin Roofs, but you can't help that. You've got 2 Sunderland defenders going to block the ball. Ultimately, Robin Roofs was helpless. But Ipswich are in the lead, and what a win this could be. Came out of absolutely nothing. Felt like 1 minute I was talking quietly, and then the next minute I was shouting down the mic. So 4 minutes added on here. Siddiqui over towards Ballard. Can Sunderland break Ipswich hearts? I was just saying they could not see it as 2 points dropped, but if they were to draw it from this position, then they certainly can. 2.5 minutes left of the added 4. Right at the very end, Jack Clark, a player who scored 15 goals in one campaign in England's second tier for Sunderland, comes back to haunt them as Xhaka loops in a ball from the midway point of his attacking half, and now Ipswich look to hit them on the transition. They just need to sort it out. Jack Clark, who's on a brace, goes for goal, and it's just wide. He spotted Roofs well off his line, and the confidence brimming from Jack Clark meant that he went for the effort first time. He would have been in an onside position, but we're talking about an effort that was about 40 yards away from the actual goal line itself. But the way Ipswich can look on the transition really can hurt teams. But that's a sloppy pass forward from Xhaka, as Ipswich have 90 seconds to join Hull City in the group of promoted teams to win in match week 1 this season. Of course, Ipswich may now put to bed the fact that they actually have lost their 9 last home games in this division. And it's looking like they're not going to be losing a 10th for sure. There are only 3 other clubs that have lost 10 top-flight home games in a row: Birmingham, Watford and Sunderland. 1 minute left. Whipped in from that far left side from Chemsdean Talby. Picked up by Roofs. Every outfield player in the Ipswich defensive half. The clock ticking as Sunderland try to make something happen with the switch out towards this right-hand side. Another whipped-in ball from Xhaka. Met to it was Dara O'Shea. Whacked on the volley right into the head of O'Shea, and he collapses to the ground, but he's straight back up like an absolute warrior. 30 seconds to go. Another ball out towards Mounier. Whipped in. Kjell Sherpen coming off his line so far to punch it away like he's Superman. Trying to be a bit too involved there, personally. I'm no goalkeeping coach or expert, but leave that to your defenders. You're about 10 yards away from where the ball's going to be headed. I think he's just trying to really get involved. And I think that can cost Ipswich. I wouldn't be surprised if his want to be involved ends up costing his side ultimately points throughout the season. But it hasn't costed them points now. Ipswich 2, Sunderland 1. All eyes on the referee. It's party town at the moment in it. As 94 minutes and 30 seconds is on the clock. Sfaray Halam is being watched closely by every person in blue and white in this ground. Here's Alderete. Could there be one final chance? There won't be. Ipswich get a last-minute winner through the ex-Sunderland player Jack Clarke, who means Gary O'Neill gets his Ipswich account up and running. They had a great pre-season, but he needed to make sure that they got the win when it really started to matter, and that's what they've done against a very respectable Sunderland side. It all started off with a sloppy back pass from one of the defenders, which allowed Julio Enciso, the new star boy, to cross it towards Emerson, to slot it home to make Ipswich go a goal up. It was a brilliant free kick from Angelo. There'll be plenty more of him to come this season, but it wasn't meant to be for Sunderland. It was meant to be, though, for Ipswich, and that man there, Jack Clarke, who found the winner in the 90th minute, beating a helpless Robin Roofs. An exciting game all round, but Ipswich will be delighted that they're back in the top flight and they're back with a win. Thank you very much for joining me, everyone. It ends here in match week 1 of the top division in English football. It's Ipswich Town 2, Sunderland 1.